Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a time long ago in a kingdom tucked away in the horn of African medieval Ethiopia. Imagine a world where even the simplest of objects, like an umbrella, carried a weight far beyond its typical use. Now, before you get too comfy with your thoughts of shade and rain protection, remember, medieval Ethiopia didn't just think of their umbrellas as rain blockers. They saw them as divine shields, powerful enough to guard kings and their empires against all sorts of dangers, from the mundane to the supernatural. Oh, and spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this unscathed if you were one of the medieval folks who dared defy the power of the Holy Umbrella. But don't worry, this is all in the name of history. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, why not drop your location and what time it is where you are? It's always interesting to see where my listeners are tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Medieval Ethiopia, a land of mountains, deserts, and deep-rooted beliefs, wasn't just an ordinary kingdom. While much of Europe was caught up in the chaotic aftermath of the fall of the Roman Empire, Ethiopia stood firm with its own rich cultural and spiritual identity. During this period, the kingdom was often cut off from the rest of the world, but its leaders and citizens remained closely tied to their own ideas about faith, protection, and divine power. In this context, the Holy Umbrella took on a significance that's hard to imagine today. The umbrella, for most people, is a symbol of protection from the elements, a simple item carried to shield us from rain or the sun. But in Ethiopia, it was far more than just a mundane tool. To grasp the full weight of its meaning, you have to understand the Ethiopian view of the world during medieval times. Ethiopia was a land of immense religious importance, with both Christianity and ancient Jewish traditions deeply woven into its culture. You see, Ethiopia wasn't just a random kingdom. It had its own strong claims to being the keeper of the true Ark of the Covenant, the very object that held the Ten Commandments. And this wasn't some passing legend. The people believed with absolute certainty that their monarchs had been divinely chosen, and this divine protection extended to every aspect of royal life. The umbrella, being part of the emperor's regalia, became an important symbol in this system. Historians still argue about the details, whether the sacred nature of the umbrella emerged from Christian symbolism, the old Ethiopian kingship traditions, or a blend of both. But one thing is clear: the umbrella wasn't just for staying dry. It was an emblem of God's protection, a mark of the divine favor granted to the ruler. Every time the emperor stood beneath his umbrella, it wasn't just to shield him from the sun, it was to remind everyone around him of his celestial connection and the power he wielded by divine right. So, the umbrella became a sacred object, intimately tied to the identity of the monarch. Think of it as an ancient royal power move, an accessory that not only protected the emperor from nature's harshness, but also reminded everyone that he was favored by the divine. It wasn't simply a rain shield, it was a walking symbol of God's blessing and protection. Historians often point out that in many societies, monarchs have long had objects that symbolize their power crowns, scepters, and even thrones, but the Ethiopian umbrella is uniquely symbolic. Unlike the crown, which is typically a symbol of authority alone, the umbrella had layers of meaning tied to divine intervention. It wasn't just worn for show. It represented spiritual power that transcended earthly matters. When the emperor walked out beneath his umbrella, it was like walking in the shadow of divine will itself. And we're not just talking about any old umbrella here. These were often large, ornate creations, sometimes made of gold or decorated with intricate religious symbols. Each umbrella had a design that linked back to the spiritual world, reminding the people that the monarch, much like the heavens, was both distant and all-powerful. What's fascinating is that this idea of the umbrella as a divine protector wasn't just limited to kings. It slowly spread to religious leaders too. But unlike today's commonplace, mass-produced umbrellas, these were rare, expensive, and intensely meaningful objects. Now, pause and think about this. You're in medieval Ethiopia. Your emperor, let's say he's the spiritual descendant of Solomon himself, emerges from his palace, not without his holy umbrella, a clear sign of his favor with God. It's not just a mundane accessory. It's something that announces to the people and to foreign dignitaries alike that this ruler stands on the precipice between the human and the divine. Imagine the awe of witnessing this scene for the first time. How much power could an object like that command? Historians still debate exactly how and when the sacred meaning of the umbrella began, but some argue it's tied to Ethiopia's early Christian period, especially after the arrival of Christianity in the 4th century. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, deeply intertwined with the monarchy, likely played a major role in weaving this symbolism into the fabric of Ethiopian royal culture. Whether it emerged from Christian iconography or was influenced by earlier indigenous spiritual beliefs, the umbrella's role as a symbol of divine favor was well established by the medieval period. You may be wondering, how exactly did the umbrella come to represent protection? The answer might surprise you. It's not just about staying dry or out of the sun. In a world full of disease, conflict, and natural disasters, the umbrella was a literal shield, a reminder that the ruler, as God's anointed, was immune to those earthly threats. Think of it as a portable aura of holiness. By the end of this section, the umbrella wasn't just a thing that protected from rain. It was an active player in Ethiopia's story, a reflection of how power, religion, and sacred beliefs intertwined. But as we'll see in the next sections, the umbrella's divine power didn't stop at royal circles. It became a fixture in battles, rituals, and even diplomacy. It was much more than just an item for the emperor's personal comfort. It was a representation of something much larger, something that stretched far beyond any one person. As we move deeper into the world of medieval Ethiopia, we start to see the full scope of the umbrella's importance, not just as a royal accessory, but as a symbol that connected the earthly and the divine. Let's take a step back for a moment and imagine what it must have felt like to live in that time. The kingdom was nestled in a world of high mountains and vast sun-baked plains. The air must have smelled of earth and incense, the kind of thick, spiritual aroma that seems to hang over places of great importance. And there you are, looking up at an emperor, his figure bathed in the golden light of a setting sun, his holy umbrella unfurled above him. What a sight it must have been. He wasn't just a ruler. He was something greater. The umbrella didn't just protect him from the elements. It seemed to shield him from everything beneath the heavens. Historians still debate the exact origin of the holy umbrella. Was it a Christian symbol, a more ancient Ethiopian tradition, or perhaps a fusion of both? Regardless, one thing is certain, it wasn't always this way. The power of the umbrella developed over time, growing in significance as Ethiopia's royal lineage intertwined more deeply with Christianity. But before we get lost in the divine symbolism, let's take a quick look at the roots of this sacred object. What made it so special in the first place? In early Ethiopian history, the umbrella was first seen as a symbol of authority, much like how monarchs in Europe used crowns to symbolize their rule. Ethiopian emperors used the umbrella as their marker of power, but over time, something changed. The rulers of Ethiopia, who claimed descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, began to associate themselves with not just earthly rule, but divine right. The umbrella, initially a mark of royal authority, became an object that spoke of spiritual power as well. Think about it for a moment. The umbrella's shift from a symbol of power to a symbol of divine favor didn't happen overnight. In fact, it took a long time for the full weight of this symbolism to be realized. It's often said that when something is elevated to a sacred status, it's because of the human desire to connect with something higher, something beyond the limits of ordinary life. And that's exactly what happened here. The people of medieval Ethiopia didn't just believe their emperor was a ruler, they believed he was an earthly representative of God. So how did the umbrella take on this sacred meaning? The answer lies in the intricate relationship between the emperor and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. In the 4th century, Ethiopia was one of the first kingdoms in the world to officially adopt Christianity, making the church a cornerstone of both the emperor's power and the kingdom's identity. The emperor wasn't just a king. He was also a religious figure, the leader of both the government and the church. This fusion of power was key to understanding why the umbrella became so sacred. It was not just a physical object, but a visual representation of God's presence on earth. Historians continue to debate whether the Holy Umbrella's association with the monarchy still holds weight in today's Ethiopia. While the monarchy has long been abolished and political power has shifted, the umbrella's symbolic power remains potent. Some view it as a relic of a bygone era, a symbol of Ethiopia's royal past. Others see it as a universal symbol of Ethiopia's spiritual and cultural strength, a bridge between the nation's royal heritage and its present-day identity. What's undeniable is that the umbrella still carries great meaning, whether in religious settings, cultural celebrations, or the hearts of Ethiopians gathered across the globe. As we look to the future, it's clear that the Holy Umbrella's role will continue to evolve. In Ethiopia, the growing importance of national unity and the ongoing quest for peace and stability may further elevate the umbrella as a symbol of collective resilience and divine protection. It could become even more prominent as Ethiopia navigates the complexities of the 21st century, especially as it continues to build on its reputation as a beacon of African sovereignty and self-determination. For the diaspora, the umbrella will likely remain a symbol of connection to the homeland, an ever-present link to Ethiopia's ancient past and its modern aspirations. And so, the story of the Holy Umbrella teaches us something profound. Symbols, whether they're of faith, power, or pride, are more than just representations of the past. They're the living, breathing forces that connect us to who we are, where we come from, and the stories we carry within us. Even as the world changes, as traditions evolve, and as cultures merge, these symbols remain constant, grounding us in the things that truly matter: our values, our history, and our sense of belonging. For those of us who may not be Ethiopian, the story of the Holy Umbrella offers an important lesson in the power of symbols to transcend borders. It shows us how objects, traditions, and practices can hold deep meaning, shaping how we view ourselves and the world around us. In our own lives, we can find strength and comfort in the symbols and traditions that connect us to our roots. No matter how far we may roam or how different the world may become. In this way, the Holy Umbrella is not just the symbol of Ethiopia's divine protection. It's a symbol of all of us, our ability to adapt, to persevere, and to honor the past while moving toward the future. And as Ethiopia continues to grow and change, the umbrella will no doubt remain a vital, living symbol of the country's unbreakable spirit. As we end this story, let's reflect on how we can all carry our own symbols with us. Just as the Holy Umbrella has been a guiding force in Ethiopia's history, so too can our own personal symbols guide us through life's challenges. Whether they're family heirlooms, cultural traditions, or spiritual practices, These symbols offer us a sense of identity and continuity. They remind us that no matter how much the world shifts around us, there are certain things that remain constant, things that help us weather the storms of life and find our way home. In the end, the Holy Umbrella's journey is not just a tale of Ethiopia, it's a reflection of the broader human experience, of our search for meaning, protection, and connection. And as we drift into sleep tonight, may we find comfort in knowing that, like the Holy Umbrella, our own symbols will continue to guide us through the night, offering us protection and strength as we face tomorrow's challenges. And so, we come to the final chapter of our story, as the journey of the Holy Umbrella, so deeply intertwined with Ethiopia's rich history and spiritual life, winds to a peaceful close. In many ways, this is not just the end of a tale, but a reflection on the enduring power of symbols in our lives. The Holy Umbrella's passage from divine protector of kings to a symbol of collective resilience and pride mirrors something deeply human: our ability to adapt, to evolve, and to find meaning in the things that connect us to our past. When you think about it, the Holy Umbrella offers us a profound lesson that transcends time and place. Its symbolism of divine protection, once reserved for the emperor, is now carried by millions of Ethiopians across the globe, each person interpreting it in their own way, drawing strength from its meaning in the context of their own lives. Whether in the ceremonies of the Orthodox Church, displayed in the diaspora, or reimagined in contemporary art and fashion, the umbrella represents more than just a relic. It is a living, breathing force, a cultural marker that endures no matter what changes happen around it. For the people of Ethiopia, the umbrella is a reminder that despite everything, the conflicts, the revolutions, the political upheavals, they have a unique identity that is deeply rooted in their faith, their culture, and their history. The Holy Umbrella's journey through time speaks to Ethiopia's unbreakable spirit. It is a symbol of divine protection, yes, but it is also a symbol of resistance, a refusal to be diminished by outside forces. In this way, it offers an insight into the broader history of Africa itself, a history of resilience in the face of adversity. Ethiopia's sacred umbrella is not just a piece of fabric. It's a testament to the strength of a people who have always fought to maintain their independence and identity. Looking beyond Ethiopia, the Holy Umbrella reminds us of the universality of symbols. The way an object can evolve over time and come to represent something bigger than its original purpose is a truth found in cultures across the world. It's a reminder that the things we hold dear, whether they're objects, traditions, or even shared stories, can serve as vessels of meaning and connection. They can offer comfort when the world feels uncertain, and strength when we feel vulnerable. As you reflect on this journey, think about the symbols that hold significance in your own life. What objects or traditions serve as reminders of your history and your identity? What keeps you grounded when the world around you seems to shift and change? The story of the Holy Umbrella offers us a way to see how we too can carry our own symbols forward. Just as Ethiopians carry the legacy of the Holy Umbrella with them, so too can we carry the legacies of our own cultures, histories, and values. These symbols are not static, they are living connections to our past, offering us guidance and meaning as we move forward. And in the quiet moments of life, when things feel overwhelming or uncertain, it's the symbols we hold dear that can help us stay connected to something bigger than ourselves. Whether it's the echo of our ancestors' voices, the flicker of a candle in a moment of prayer, or the comforting rhythm of a cherished family ritual, these small, sacred things have the power to center us and remind us of our roots. Now, as the night settles in, take a deep breath and let the image of the Holy Umbrella drift with you, a symbol of protection, resilience, and divine care. In the quiet of this moment, as you prepare to drift into sleep, let the power of symbols fill your heart with peace. Just like the holy umbrella, your own personal symbols are there to offer you protection, guidance, and strength as you navigate the days ahead. The holy umbrella, having crossed centuries, continues its silent watch over the hearts of Ethiopians. Its journey is a testament to the enduring power of faith and culture, reminding us all that even in a world of change, some things like the spirit of a people remain constant. So, as you close your eyes tonight, know that just as the holy umbrella once shielded kings from the sun, it now shields us from the uncertainties of the night, guiding us gently toward restful sleep. Now, rest easy. Let the symbol of protection and peace be with you as you journey into the quiet darkness of the night. The umbrella, Ethiopia's holy umbrella, will continue its silent watch as it has for centuries. And perhaps in some small way it will watch over you too as you drift into dreams. End of script. Sweet dreams. Historians still argue about when this shift occurred and how exactly it came to be, but many point to the introduction of the Ark of the Covenant into Ethiopian tradition as a pivotal moment. Ethiopia is claimed to have the real Ark hidden away, and a church in Axum gave their rulers even more divine authority. With this connection to the biblical past, the umbrella transformed into a symbol not just of royal power, but of sacred protection. Every time the emperor walked beneath his umbrella, he wasn't just shielding himself from the sun, he was shielding his people from harm. Under the guidance of God's hand, as we continue to explore the role of the umbrella in medieval Ethiopia, it's important to understand how it went beyond just the emperor's daily life. This sacred object played a key role in the rituals of the Ethiopian court, becoming an essential part of religious ceremonies and royal processions. In fact, the umbrella became so intertwined with the royal identity that it wasn't just a tool for protection, it was a symbol of the emperor's divine right to rule, sanctified by both the church and the people. The people of Ethiopia, living in a kingdom surrounded by both desert and mountains, saw the umbrella as more than just a physical object. It was a marker of God's favor, a tangible reminder that their ruler was chosen by the heavens to lead them. The act of the emperor walking beneath the umbrella wasn't simply a demonstration of power. It was a statement of divine legitimacy, and as we'll see next, this connection between the umbrella and divine protection wasn't limited to ceremonial moments. The umbrella found its place in battle, in diplomacy, and in the daily life of the court. It became so much more than just a royal accessory. It was a symbol of the sacred nature of Ethiopian rule itself. But before we rush ahead, it's worth noting that the umbrella wasn't just tied to the emperor. It was also part of the larger cultural fabric of Ethiopia. Monks, priests, and even military leaders would adopt their own umbrellas as signs of divine favor, each using the object to symbolize their own spiritual connection to the divine. Historians still debate whether these beliefs were universally accepted by the people or if they were reserved for the elite. But one thing is clear, the holy umbrella wasn't just a personal possession. It was a part of the larger spiritual and political landscape of medieval Ethiopia, a powerful reminder of the deep connection between the kingdom's rulers, the church, and the divine dot as we journey further into the complex world of medieval Ethiopia. It becomes clear that the role of the holy umbrella was not just a luxury for the emperor and high-ranking religious figures. It was something far deeper, far more rooted in the fabric of the kingdom's identity. To understand the umbrella's full significance, it's necessary to look at how it fit into Ethiopia's unique religious beliefs that set the kingdom apart from the rest of the world. The history of Ethiopia is intimately tied to its understanding of itself as a chosen land, a kingdom with a special connection to God. One of the central myths that shaped the medieval Ethiopian worldview was the belief that their monarchs were descendants of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, This wasn't just a neat piece of folklore. It was a fundamental part of the Ethiopian identity. According to Ethiopian tradition, the Queen of Sheba traveled to Jerusalem to meet Solomon, and together they had a son, Menelik I, who would go on to become the first emperor of Ethiopia. This claim to descent from the great biblical king was more than just a point of pride it gave the Ethiopian monarchy a divine mandate. Historians still argue whether this connection to Solomon was based on historical fact or whether it was a strategic construction by later Ethiopian rulers to solidify their claim to power. Some scholars suggest that this legend arose during the 13th century, during the reign of the Solomonic dynasty, which used the story to strengthen their legitimacy. Either way, this myth played a crucial role in the development of the sacred status of the umbrella. Why? Because if the emperor was truly a descendant of Solomon, if he was the earthly representative of this powerful biblical figure, then the objects associated with him, like the holy umbrella, carried a spiritual weight that couldn't be ignored. The umbrella was more than just a physical shield against the sun. It was a symbol of the emperor's divine bloodline, linking him directly to the powerful biblical tradition of Israel. It wasn't just the emperor's lineage that gave the umbrella its sacred status. It was the very idea that the ruler was chosen by God to lead his people. To understand how this belief shaped Ethiopia's religious practices, it's essential to look at the role of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Founded in the early 4th century, the Ethiopian Church became one of the most ancient and unique branches of Christianity. Unlike the Western and Eastern branches, the Ethiopian Church retained many of the traditions and practices from the early Christian period. And as we've seen, the emperor was not just a ruler. He was a spiritual figure, deeply intertwined with the church. Ethiopia is claimed to be the true home of the Ark of the Covenant, believed by Ethiopians to be housed in a church in Axum also bolstered this divine connection. The Ark, an object of incredible biblical significance, was believed to hold the very presence of God. The idea that Ethiopia held the Ark, and that the ruler descended from Solomon, placed both the emperor and the holy umbrella at the very center of this divine plan. Historians still debate the authenticity of Ethiopia's Ark claim. Some argue it's a legend, a symbolic story created to elevate Ethiopia's status as a holy land, while others believe that it's based on a real historical artifact hidden away from the world to protect it. But one thing is certain: whether the Ark was real or symbolic, it helped solidify the religious importance of the kingdom and its ruler. The umbrella was part of this sacred narrative, a visual reminder that the ruler, like the Ark, was a vessel of divine favor. This divine connection between the emperor and God's will was reinforced through various religious ceremonies, which frequently featured the holy umbrella. These ceremonies weren't just formalities, they were expressions of the belief that the ruler's every action, including his very existence, was ordained by God. The umbrella, as part of the emperor's ceremonial attire, was not just an accessory. It was a sign that the ruler stood under divine protection. As you can imagine, this had a profound effect on the people. Ordinary Ethiopians would have viewed the emperor's umbrella not just as a physical object, but as a sacred artifact, a tangible symbol of God's protection and favor. The emperor's procession with the holy umbrella unfurled above him would have been a powerful reminder to the people that their ruler was a living embodiment of divine will, chosen to guide them through the trials of life. But it wasn't just the emperor who wielded such symbols of divine favor. Religious leaders, too, adopted the umbrella as part of their own spiritual identity. Ethiopian monks, priests, and bishops all used umbrellas to symbolize their connection to God's protection, while the emperor's umbrella represented his royal and divine authority. The religious leaders' umbrellas symbolize their role as intermediaries between God and the people. Historians still debate the precise nature of the connection between the emperor's power and the church, with some suggesting that the church held the ultimate authority over the ruler, while others argue that the emperor's divine mandate superseded that of the religious hierarchy. Regardless of the exact power dynamics, it's clear that the umbrella served as a visual symbol of the intersection between church and state. Power and faith. In the next sections, we'll explore how this symbolic power extended into other areas of life in medieval Ethiopia, from military campaigns to diplomatic relations. The holy umbrella wasn't just a symbol of protection for the emperor. It became a tool of influence, a way to assert divine favor in battle and in negotiations. But for now, it's worth reflecting on the unique role the umbrella played in establishing Ethiopia's place as a land set apart by divine favor. Now that we've laid the foundation of the holy umbrella's symbolism as a divine protector, we can begin to dive into how this sacred object became central to Ethiopia's most important religious and political practices. In medieval Ethiopia, the umbrella was far from a passive symbol. It wasn't just an object to be admired from. Afar, it was actively involved in the rituals, battles, and ceremonies that defined the kingdom. And one of the most fascinating aspects of this royal accessory was its connection to the legendary Ark of the Covenant, which, as we touched on earlier, was believed to be hidden in Ethiopia's sacred city of Axum. The Ark wasn't just a myth or a religious relic. It was the heart of Ethiopia's claim to divine favor, a living testament to their special relationship with God. This is where the holy umbrella becomes more than just a ceremonial object. It's woven into the fabric of the kingdom's most sacred traditions. And like the ark itself, the umbrella became a symbol of God's direct protection over the ruler and the kingdom as a whole. Historians still argue about the ark's true location and whether Ethiopia's claim is based on historical fact or divine imagination. But regardless of its authenticity, the legend of the Ark influenced the way the people of Ethiopia viewed their rulers, and by extension, the umbrellas that became synonymous with those rulers. Whether or not the Ark was physically in Axum, the idea that it was connected to Ethiopia's royal line lent extraordinary spiritual weight to everything the emperor did. In this sense, the holy umbrella was an outward expression of the emperor's divine mandate, a visual cue that reminded the people that the king wasn't just a man. He was God's chosen vessel on earth. This isn't just about symbolism, though. The presence of the ark, real or imagined, wasn't just something for the king's personal use. It was something that impacted the entire kingdom, affecting everything, from daily life to the broader political dynamics of the region. The belief in the divine protection offered by the ark, and by extension the emperor's umbrella, gave Ethiopia a kind of spiritual shield. This shield wasn't just a metaphor, it had very real implications, especially when it came to military campaigns. The holy umbrella, as strange as it may sound today, had a significant role on the battlefield. Warriors would march to war with their emperor at the forefront, carrying the umbrella as a sign of divine protection. You might imagine the emperor riding into battle, his umbrella held high, its rich colors fluttering in the wind, a living symbol of God's blessing on the army. In a time when battles were fought with not only physical strength but spiritual conviction, the umbrella became a key part of the equation. The belief that God was directly intervening on behalf of the emperor added a psychological edge to the fighting force. For the soldiers, seeing their emperor under the umbrella meant they were part of something larger, something divinely ordained. It gave them the confidence that no earthly threat could truly defeat them. This military symbolism was also reflected in how the Umbrella was used during public ceremonies. The emperor's procession with his sacred umbrella unfurled above him was a ceremonial display of God's power in action. But these processions weren't just a display for the people. They were deeply symbolic acts meant to demonstrate the emperor's divine protection in every sphere of life. The umbrella hovering above the emperor created a physical barrier between the ruler and the outside world, reinforcing the notion that he was not only shielded from earthly harm, but also from the corrupting influences of the mortal realm. His reign, like the Ark, was seen as untouched by worldly chaos, and it didn't stop there. The umbrella also played an important role in Ethiopia's diplomatic exchanges. Imagine this: Ethiopia, a kingdom with a rich spiritual heritage, sending its royal emissaries to distant lands. The emperor's holy umbrella, draped in gold and adorned with sacred symbols, would be part of these diplomatic gifts, exchanged as tokens of peace and goodwill. It was not merely a political gesture, it was a deeply spiritual one, a way of showing the recipient that the relationship between the two kingdoms was blessed by God. The umbrella, in this context, wasn't just a symbol of power, it was a tool for establishing divine favor in international relations. Historians still argue whether these diplomatic exchanges were as commonplace as the Ethiopian court would have liked to suggest, but there's no doubt that they occurred. Ethiopia, with its rich history, had interactions with several key civilizations, including the Byzantine Empire and the Arab caliphates. The Holy Umbrella was one of the many ways Ethiopia could demonstrate its standing as a kingdom chosen by God, a land that had not only preserved the true faith, but had been entrusted with the divine relics of ancient Israel. It's intriguing to consider the power dynamics that were at play when these diplomatic gestures occurred. Would an emissary from a foreign kingdom, upon receiving such a gift, have truly understood the depth of its spiritual significance? Or would they have simply seen it as another royal trinket to be displayed as a mark of respect? Either way, the gift of the umbrella wasn't just a formal gesture. It was an assertion of Ethiopia's unique status in the world, a kingdom that stood apart, both spiritually and politically. As we delve deeper into this fascinating connection between the Holy Umbrella and Ethiopia's military, diplomatic, and religious life, it's clear that the umbrella was much more than a practical item. It was a tool that bridged the gap between heaven and earth, a symbol of divine protection that had real-world implications. Whether on the battlefield, in ceremonies, or in diplomatic exchanges, the Holy Umbrella remained a central figure in the life of medieval Ethiopia, a symbol that, even in the most uncertain of times, reminded everyone of the ruler's divine right to lead. In the next section, we'll look at how the role of the Holy Umbrella evolved within religious rituals and monastic life. These sacred items were not just for the king. They became an integral part of the daily spiritual practice of Ethiopia's religious leaders, reminding them that their role, too, was one of divine responsibility. As we've seen so far, the Holy Umbrella wasn't merely a royal accessory, it was an object deeply embedded in the political, military, and religious fabric of medieval Ethiopia. But what about its role in the religious life of the kingdom, especially among the monks, priests, and religious leaders? These figures, whose spiritual authority was as sacred as the king's royal power, were just as connected to the umbrella's divine symbolism. To understand the umbrella's place in Ethiopia's monastic life, we need to step into the world of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, an ancient institution that shaped the spiritual and cultural identity of the kingdom. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, one of the oldest Christian institutions in the world, held a central role in medieval Ethiopian society. In many ways, the church and the monarchy were intertwined, with the emperor acting not only as a political leader but as a spiritual protector. Much like the church's religious leaders, The sacredness of the umbrella extended to the clergy, and in their hands, the umbrella symbolized not just royal authority, but the deep, unbreakable link between the church and the state. In the monastic life, the holy umbrella was often used during religious processions and rituals, much like in the emperor's court. Monks and priests would carry these umbrellas during religious ceremonies to signify their connection to the divine. They weren't just shielding themselves from the sun, they were holding a physical symbol of God's presence and power. These processions weren't mere parades. They were spiritual acts of devotion, and the umbrella became a sacred tool in this divine communication. Historians still debate whether the umbrella's use among the clergy was a continuation of earlier pre-Christian practices or a direct appropriation of Christian iconography. Some believe that the umbrella may have roots in pre-Christian Ethiopian traditions, where ritual objects were seen as direct conduits of divine power. Others argue that the use of the umbrella in religious ceremonies was heavily influenced by Christian traditions, where objects like scepters and crowns symbolized divine authority. But either way, the umbrella became an integral part of the church's symbolism. The fact that religious figures used the umbrella alongside the emperor reinforces the idea that the umbrella was not just a symbol of political power, it was a mark of spiritual responsibility. The Ethiopian church's use of the umbrella during liturgies and religious processions wasn't just ceremonial. It was a visual reminder that the church too was under divine protection, just as the emperor's umbrella symbolized God's guidance over the kingdom. The umbrellas carried by the clergy signified their role as protectors of the faithful, leading them in the path of righteousness beyond the monastery walls. The holy umbrella also played a role in the lives of ordinary Ethiopians. While only the highest-ranking priests and monks would have direct access to these sacred objects, the symbolism of the umbrella would have trickled down to the people. The common folk, witnessing processions or seeing their religious leaders carrying umbrellas, would have been reminded of their connection to a larger divine plan. The umbrella became, in a sense, a shared symbol between the monarchs and the church, embodying a national vision of divine protection and favor. What's fascinating is that this wasn't a symbol reserved solely for times of peace. In fact, during times of conflict, both the church and the monarchy relied heavily on the umbrella's power to offer protection in battle. The church would often bless the umbrellas before important military campaigns, reinforcing the belief that the ruler under God's protection cannot be defeated. The emperor would march into battle, his holy umbrella high above him, and the soldiers would follow, inspired by the knowledge that their monarch was under divine favor. Whether in times of peace or conflict, the umbrella acted as a constant reminder of the kingdom's spiritual strength. Historians still question how widespread the belief in the umbrella's divine power truly was among the general population. Some suggest that only the elite fully embraced the symbolism of the umbrella, while others argue that this divine power was deeply ingrained in the collective consciousness of the entire kingdom. What is clear, however, is that the holy umbrella held extraordinary meaning across different layers of society, from the emperor to the monks to the common people. As we explore the evolution of the umbrella's role in the Ethiopian church, we also need to acknowledge the increasing influence of religious orders and monastic life during this period. By the 15th century, the Ethiopian church had become a dominant force in the kingdom. Monastic communities, particularly those in the remote highlands of Ethiopia, were places of profound spiritual significance. Monks lived in seclusion, dedicating themselves to prayer and ascetic practices, but they were also deeply connected to the kingdom's religious identity. Monasteries in Ethiopia were not just places of worship, they were centers of learning, preservation, and cultural continuity. The holy umbrella, as part of religious processions, played a role in reinforcing the idea that the monks, like the emperor, were not merely spiritual leaders, they were also protectors of the faith. The umbrella thus served as a constant symbol of the unity between the church and the monarchy, reminding both the religious leaders and the people that their kingdom was divinely guided. Of course, not every aspect of this sacred symbol was purely ceremonial. There were, over time, tangible political implications tied to the use of the holy umbrella. The emperor, under his umbrella, was seen as a living embodiment of divine will, and this powerful imagery extended beyond just religious rituals. It became a tool for consolidating power within the kingdom. The umbrella, with its divine associations, helped maintain the emperor's political control, as it reinforced the idea that his rule was not just a matter of personal ambition, but a divinely ordained destiny. Historians still debate how far-reaching the political influence of the umbrella really was. Was it purely symbolic, or did it play an active role in asserting the emperor's authority? Some scholars suggest that the umbrella, when seen in the context of royal rituals and processions, was a deeply ingrained symbol of political dominance. The emperor was seen as the protector of both the people and the church, and his holy umbrella stood as a testament to this power. As we continue to look at the holy umbrella's role in Ethiopian religious life, we begin to see how it served not just as a tool for spiritual protection, but also as an object that helped consolidate the emperor's divine authority in both political and religious realms. The umbrella wasn't just a shield from the elements, it was a symbol of divine right, one that encapsulated the spiritual, political, and military power of medieval Ethiopia. In the next section, we'll explore how the umbrella's divine symbolism and its link to royal authority spread beyond Ethiopia's borders. Through diplomacy, trade, and conquest, the influence of the Ethiopian monarchy and its holy umbrella began to reach other parts of the world. But before we get there, it's important to reflect on the deep impact that the umbrella had on the lives of the people of Ethiopia, both spiritually and politically. As the holy umbrella weaves through the sacred and political tapestry of medieval Ethiopia, we now turn our gaze outward to explore the kingdom's diplomatic and military influence on the wider world. The umbrella, which we've seen as an object of divine power, didn't just sit in the halls of the imperial court or stand tall in religious processions. It became a tool of soft power, a symbol of divine right that Ethiopia leveraged in its interactions with foreign kingdoms. By the time we reached the medieval period, Ethiopia was a well-established Christian kingdom in a largely Muslim and pagan world, with a rich tradition that dated back centuries. This status wasn't just ceremonial, it had serious geopolitical implications. As Ethiopia's rulers increasingly adopted Christianity and integrated it into their governance, they used the holy umbrella not just as a symbol of their own divine favor, but as a diplomatic weapon. Imagine for a moment an Ethiopian diplomat walking into the royal court of a neighboring empire, carrying the holy umbrella unfurled above his head. The very sight would be a reminder of Ethiopia's ancient Christian heritage, its claim to the legacy of King Solomon, and its connection to divine power. Historians still debate the extent to which Ethiopia used its religious symbolism to enhance its diplomatic leverage. Some argue that the kingdom's holy umbrella played a role in fostering peaceful relations with neighboring states, particularly with Christian powers like the Byzantine Empire and the Crusader states. These kingdoms, also tied to the Christian faith, would have recognized the significance of such a symbol. The Ethiopian umbrella, with its biblical connotations, acted as an ambassador of sorts, making the political and spiritual ties between these kingdoms appear stronger than they might have been. Others, however, point to the strong independence of the Ethiopian kingdom, arguing that its rulers were more interested in preserving their sovereignty than in forging alliances through religious symbolism alone. Regardless, the umbrella was a powerful tool in Ethiopia's diplomatic toolbox, serving as both a physical and symbolic representation of the kingdom's unique position in the Christian world. Beyond peaceful diplomacy, Ethiopia's use of the Holy Umbrella also extended to military endeavors. The Holy Umbrella, a symbol of divine protection, played a central role in war, and the idea of God's favor was believed to be the decisive factor in battle. In Ethiopia's many wars against neighboring Muslim states, the umbrella became a rallying symbol for soldiers, inspiring them with the belief that their emperor was a divinely ordained leader. The military tactics employed by Ethiopia's rulers often had a religious dimension, as the emperor, marching into battle under his holy umbrella, was thought to be bringing God's wrath down on their enemies. The sight of the umbrella on the battlefield wasn't just about royal power, it was about spiritual warfare, a battle for God's chosen kingdom. Historians still argue whether this divine protection was as effective as the Ethiopians believed. Some suggest that Ethiopia's military success can be attributed to its strategic advantage and the prowess of its armies, while others contend that the morale boost provided by the belief in divine favor played a crucial role in keeping the Ethiopian forces cohesive and effective. Regardless of the outcome, the connection between the Holy Umbrella and military power is undeniable. It provided a sense of purpose, a belief that God himself was on their side. But the influence of Ethiopia's Holy Umbrella didn't stop at neighboring kingdoms. The reach of Ethiopian Christianity, and by extension the royal power symbolized by the umbrella, spread far beyond the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia's status as a Christian kingdom made it a point of interest for European crusaders and missionaries who looked to the ancient kingdom as a beacon of the faith in the East. The Ethiopian emperor's sacred umbrella, seen in the context of these religious exchanges, was a powerful symbol of the enduring strength of Christianity in the face of the Islamic caliphates. Missionaries would travel to Ethiopia, often bringing with them gifts and symbols of their faith. In these exchanges, the Holy Umbrella stood as a tangible representation of Ethiopia's Christian heritage, reminding Europeans of the kingdom's long-standing commitment to the faith. Historians still argue over how much influence the Ethiopian Church had on the development of Christianity in other parts of the world. Some see Ethiopia as a beacon of Christian tradition, influencing both Eastern and Western practices, while others suggest that the kingdom's relatively insular position meant that its influence was less significant in the larger Christian world. Either way, the presence of the Holy Umbrella in diplomatic exchanges between Ethiopia and other Christian powers helped reinforce the kingdom's unique status and position within the broader religious context. Perhaps one of the most interesting aspects of the Holy Umbrella's role in Ethiopia's diplomatic efforts is how it symbolized not just the emperor's power, but the kingdom's connection to biblical history. The Ethiopian emperor was, after all, a direct descendant of King Solomon, and Ethiopia claimed to be the true resting place of the Ark of the Covenant. These religious claims were central to Ethiopia's identity and were frequently highlighted during diplomatic missions. When the emperor walked beneath his holy umbrella, he was not just representing the kingdom. He was embodying a link between the ancient biblical world and the present, a living testament to the enduring power of God's chosen people. One of the most famous examples of Ethiopia's diplomatic reach was during the reign of Emperor Menelik II in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Menelik was known for his diplomatic shrewdness and his successful resistance against the Italian invasion at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. While the Holy Umbrella had evolved somewhat by this time, Menelik's claim to divine favor remained central to his identity as a ruler. The emperor's ability to rally his people, with the image of divine protection hovering above him, was key to Ethiopia's victory. This symbolic use of the umbrella would have been familiar to the people, acting as a reminder that the emperor's cause was just and divinely blessed. Historians still debate how much Menelik's diplomatic efforts were shaped by the legacy of the Holy Umbrella. Was it a piece of royal regalia that was wielded strategically in negotiations with European powers? Or was it a deeper symbol of divine authority that shaped how both Ethiopians and foreigners viewed Menelik's power? Regardless, it's clear that Ethiopia's long-standing association with the Holy Umbrella helped cement the country's reputation as a strong and independent Christian power, one that could stand toe-to-toe with European imperial forces. As we continue to explore the global impact of the Holy Umbrella, it's important to consider how this symbol shaped the way Ethiopia interacted with the rest of the world. The umbrella became more than just a symbol of divine power. It was a diplomatic tool that allowed Ethiopia to navigate complex relationships with other kingdoms and empires. And as we'll see in the next section, the umbrella's symbolism continued to evolve even as the kingdom entered the modern era, playing a key role in both religious and national identity. As we continue exploring the Holy Umbrella's place in Ethiopia's rich history, it's fascinating to see how its significance evolved over time, particularly as the kingdom entered the modern era. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Ethiopia was undergoing significant changes. The era of European colonialism had cast its shadow over much of Africa, but Ethiopia, with its ancient Christian heritage and formidable military traditions, was determined to maintain its independence. In many ways, the Holy Umbrella had already symbolized divine protection for centuries, but as Ethiopia faced modern challenges, it took on new meanings. No longer just an emblem of spiritual power, the umbrella became a symbol of national unity and defiance against foreign domination. By the time of Emperor Menelik II's reign, the role of the Holy Umbrella was closely intertwined with the emperor's image as a national leader, not just a divine figurehead. Menelik, one of Ethiopia's most famous rulers, is perhaps best known for his victory at the Battle of Adwa in 1896, where his forces decisively defeated the Italians, a major European power. It was during this time that the Holy Umbrella took on new significance, becoming a rallying point for the Ethiopian people. When Menelik marched to war under the shelter of the Holy Umbrella, it wasn't just a military symbol, it was a declaration of Ethiopia's unshakable belief in divine protection and the emperor's right to rule. Historians still debate the extent to which Menelik's victory at Adwa was influenced by his strategic military genius versus the belief in divine favor. Some argue that the emperor's victory was largely due to Ethiopia's tactical advantage and unity, while others point to the morale boost provided by the belief that God was actively protecting the kingdom. Either way, the Holy Umbrella played an integral role in shaping the public's perception of Menelik's leadership. The umbrella, symbolizing divine power, gave the people the belief that their emperor was God's chosen ruler, one who could never be defeated by earthly forces. This idea of divine protection became especially significant as Ethiopia faced the looming threat of Italian colonization. While most of Africa was being carved up by European powers, Ethiopia stood as one of the few countries that had successfully resisted foreign domination. The victory at Adwa, with the emperor and his soldiers marching under the banner of divine protection, became a symbol of Ethiopian resilience and strength. The umbrella, a tool of both political and spiritual power, was more than just a royal accessory. It was a rallying cry for the entire nation. For Ethiopians, the emperor's holy umbrella represented a stand against colonial oppression, a powerful declaration that their kingdom would remain free, historians still argue about how much Menelik's victory shaped the international perception of Ethiopia during this period. Some see Adwa as a crucial moment in the history of African resistance to colonialism, where Ethiopia stood as a beacon of hope for other nations on the continent. Others argue that the significance of Adwa was more symbolic than practical, that Ethiopia's victory was a product of circumstance rather than a broader anti-colonial movement. But one thing is clear: the Holy Umbrella's role in this moment was profound. It stood not only as a symbol of divine favor, but as a representation of Ethiopia's fight for sovereignty. As we move into the 20th century, the Holy Umbrella remained a powerful symbol of Ethiopian identity. But as the kingdom modernized, the traditional power structures also began to shift. The reign of Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia's last emperor, ushered in an era of modernization, which included efforts to modernize the monarchy itself. During Selassie's reign, the use of the Holy Umbrella became more formalized in ceremonial contexts, and while its religious and national symbolism remained, its role in day-to-day political affairs began to fade. The monarch, who had been a symbol of divine authority, increasingly embraced more secular forms of governance, and the umbrella became more of a ceremonial object in public events. Haile Selassie's reign was marked by the introduction of reforms aimed at modernizing Ethiopia's infrastructure, economy, and political system. However, even as the country modernized, the emperor never fully abandoned the religious and spiritual legacy of Ethiopia's ancient Christian heritage. The Holy Umbrella, as a symbol of divine protection and authority, continued to play a part in his royal ceremonies. When Haile Selassie participated in religious processions, for example, the Holy Umbrella would still hover above him, reminding the people that Ethiopia's monarchy was both a political and spiritual institution. Historians still debate how much influence Haile Selassie's modernization efforts had on the national psyche. Some argue that his attempts to modernize Ethiopia alienated the traditional power structures, particularly the church and the monarchy's traditional supporters. Others suggest that Haile Selassie's reforms were essential to Ethiopia's survival as a modern nation-state, particularly in the face of rising tensions with neighboring countries and the growing influence of European powers. But in both cases, the Holy Umbrella remained a symbol of continuity. It reminded Ethiopians of their ancient Christian roots, the connection between their monarchy and the divine, and the unwavering spirit of their people. One of the most enduring legacies of the Holy Umbrella is its role in representing Ethiopian resistance to foreign invaders. During the 1930s, when Italy once again attempted to colonize Ethiopia under Mussolini, the image of the emperor marching with the Holy Umbrella became a rallying cry for nationalists and resistance fighters. The Italian occupation, which lasted from 1936 to 1941, was a dark chapter in Ethiopian history, but the image of Haile Selassie's return to power in 1941, after the defeat of the Italian forces, became an enduring symbol of Ethiopian strength and resilience. The Holy Umbrella, now a more historical and ceremonial object than it had been in earlier times, continued to represent the Ethiopian spirit, a nation that had faced invasion, resisted colonization, and emerged victorious. In the next section, we'll explore how the legacy of the Holy Umbrella transcended the monarchy and became an enduring symbol of Ethiopian nationalism and pride in the years following the fall of the imperial regime. Though the monarchy itself was abolished in 1974, the powerful image of the Holy Umbrella has remained a symbol of Ethiopia's unique place in African and world history, though the monarchy in Ethiopia came to an end in 1974 with the overthrow of Haile Selassie and the establishment of a socialist regime. the legacy of the Holy Umbrella did not fade into obscurity. Far from it. The symbolism of the umbrella, which had served as a divine and political emblem for centuries, continued to hold a special place in the hearts and minds of Ethiopians long after the imperial regime crumbled. The end of the monarchy marked the dawn of a new political era, but the umbrella's enduring association with Ethiopia's spiritual and national identity made it impossible to fully detach from the past. To understand why the Holy Umbrella remained so powerful in the post-monarchy period, we need to look at the role of symbolism in shaping national identity. When the monarchy fell, Ethiopia faced significant social and political upheaval. The new government, the Derg, which was led by a military junta, attempted to break with the past, enforcing Marxist-Leninist ideology and striving to modernize the country according to a very different vision. However, even in the midst of these sweeping changes, the symbols of the imperial era, the sacred umbrella chief among them, remained potent. In many ways, these symbols represented something deeply ingrained in the Ethiopian psyche, a connection to the past, to divine protection, and to the unique national identity that had been cultivated over centuries. As Ethiopia moved through the turbulent years following the monarchy's collapse. The Holy Umbrella was still occasionally seen in religious ceremonies, particularly in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, where it retained its importance as a symbol of God's protection and divine favor. While the umbrella was no longer part of royal processions, it continued to serve as an object of reverence, linked to the emperor's sacred role as both spiritual leader and political ruler. Even those who were critical of the monarchy or who embraced the socialist ideals of the Derg could not entirely erase the umbrella's importance in the cultural and religious life of the country. Historians still debate the symbolic role the Holy Umbrella played during this period of transition. Was it a symbol of resistance for those who longed for the return of the monarchy? Or was it a symbol of continuity for those who saw the umbrella as part of Ethiopia's broader cultural and religious heritage? While the Derg's government sought to replace the old symbols of monarchy with new revolutionary icons, the people's connection to the umbrella remained unbroken. Even when the political regime shifted, the umbrella still represented the Ethiopian people's belief in a divine right to sovereignty and independence. In the years following the fall of the Derg in 1991, as Ethiopia transitioned into the Federal Democratic Republic, the Holy Umbrella experienced a resurgence in importance, especially in the context of religious celebrations and cultural festivals. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which had always been central to the nation's identity, began to reclaim the symbols associated with the monarchy, including the Holy Umbrella, as part of its ongoing role in preserving Ethiopia's unique Christian heritage. Religious processions, some of which had historically been led by the emperor under the shelter of the Holy Umbrella, continued to feature the object in reverent displays of devotion and faith. As Ethiopia entered the 21st century, the Holy Umbrella was increasingly seen as a symbol not just of the past, but of Ethiopia's resilience and spiritual continuity. Even though the monarchy no longer existed, the umbrella continued to serve as a reminder of the country's long-standing traditions, its struggles against foreign domination, and its unbroken connection to the divine. It became a symbol of national pride, linking the modern Ethiopian state with its ancient Christian roots. For many Ethiopians, the umbrella was not simply an artifact of royal life, it was an emblem of the nation's strength and independence, something that transcended the reign of any single ruler. Historians still argue over the precise role of the Holy Umbrella in modern Ethiopian identity. Some see it as a relic, a historical artifact that remains tied to a bygone era. Others view it as an active symbol of continuity, one that continues to unite Ethiopians and their shared belief in divine protection and the legacy of their ancient Christian kingdom. Whatever the interpretation, it's clear that the umbrella's influence has persisted into the modern day, far beyond the time of the monarchy, beyond religious ceremonies. The image of the Holy Umbrella has become a part of Ethiopia's national consciousness. In the years after the Derg's collapse, as Ethiopia sought to assert itself on the world stage, the umbrella appeared in artworks, literature, and even in political speeches. It became a symbol of the country's defiance and pride, a visual shorthand for Ethiopia's enduring place in the world. The Holy Umbrella was not just about the emperor anymore. It was about the Ethiopian people themselves, their rich history, and their ongoing commitment to sovereignty and independence. In the next section, we'll explore how the Holy Umbrella became a symbol of resistance and pride beyond Ethiopia's borders. As diaspora communities began to grow and Ethiopia's global reach expanded, the umbrella took on new meanings and new roles in the cultural imagination of Ethiopians abroad. The Holy Umbrella, once a symbol of monarchy and divine protection, was now a symbol of the Ethiopian spirit that transcended geographic boundaries. But before we get there, it's important to pause and reflect on the legacy of the umbrella in the religious life of the Ethiopian people, a legacy that continues to endure despite the changes and challenges of the modern era. The story of Ethiopia's Holy Umbrella extends far beyond the borders of the Horn of Africa. As the 20th century progressed and the world grew more interconnected, Ethiopian diaspora communities began to flourish, particularly in places like the United States, Canada, and Europe. These communities, many of whom had fled political turmoil or sought better economic opportunities, carried with them not just memories of their homeland, but the rich religious and cultural symbols that had been so central to Ethiopia's identity. Among these symbols, the Holy Umbrella continued to hold a place of profound reverence and significance. In the diaspora, the Holy Umbrella evolved into a symbol not just of Ethiopian national pride, but of resistance and unity. For many Ethiopians living abroad, the image of the Holy Umbrella served as a reminder of the nation's long history of independence and its struggle to maintain sovereignty against foreign powers. This was especially significant during the 1970s and 1980s, when Ethiopia's political landscape was marked by the Derg regime's violent repression and the subsequent overthrow of Haile Selassie. The monarchy may have been gone, but the symbolic weight of the Holy Umbrella remained. For members of the Ethiopian diaspora, the umbrella became a visual representation of the spiritual and cultural continuity of the nation, even in the face of hardship and exile. At community gatherings, religious events, and political rallies, the image of the Holy Umbrella was often invoked as a rallying cry, a symbol of resistance against injustice and oppression. Whether displayed at a rally for Ethiopian human rights or carried in a religious procession, the umbrella remained a potent emblem of Ethiopian identity. It was as if the umbrella, once a symbol of divine favor for the emperor, had now become a symbol of divine protection for the people themselves. The connection between Ethiopia and the umbrella had transcended royal symbolism. It was now a symbol of collective endurance and spiritual strength. Historians still debate the influence of the Ethiopian diaspora on the country's national identity. Some argue that the diaspora played an essential role in keeping Ethiopia's cultural traditions alive, particularly after the fall of the monarchy and the rise of the Derg. Others suggest that the diaspora's experience of displacement made them more likely to view Ethiopia's history through a lens of nostalgia and idealization, making symbols like the Holy Umbrella a comforting, almost sacred link to the homeland. Either way, the umbrella was woven into the fabric of the diaspora's identity. It was a symbol of Ethiopia's enduring strength, a visual testament to the resilience of its people, no matter where they lived. Interestingly, the Holy Umbrella also began to take on new meanings for non-Ethiopian audiences. In places like the United States, the Holy Umbrella became a symbol of the broader struggle for African identity and unity. Ethiopia, with its history of resisting European colonization, had long been seen as a beacon of African pride. The connection between Ethiopia and the umbrella was, for many African Americans and other members of the African diaspora, a powerful symbol of Africa's ancient history and its continuing struggle for self-determination. The Holy Umbrella, once reserved for Ethiopia's emperors, had now become a universal emblem of Africa's fight for freedom and dignity. Ethiopian art, literature, and music in the diaspora also played a significant role in keeping the memory of the Holy Umbrella alive. Artists and poets, influenced by the rich traditions of Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity and the imperial monarchy, often used the image of the Holy Umbrella to convey a sense of connection to the past. In these works, the umbrella was sometimes depicted as a symbol of divine protection, sometimes as a royal artifact, and sometimes as an expression of cultural pride. The Holy Umbrella, in its many forms, continued to serve as a touchstone for Ethiopian identity, a symbol that, despite centuries of change and upheaval, still carried the weight of centuries of history. Historians still debate how much influence the diaspora's portrayal of Ethiopian symbols like the Holy Umbrella has had on Ethiopia's modern national identity. Some argue that these symbols, once associated with the monarchy, have been repurposed and transformed by the diaspora into something entirely new, an emblem of resilience and resistance. Others suggest that the diaspora has merely preserved these symbols as they were, preserving them as sacred relics of Ethiopia's past. Regardless of the interpretation, the Holy Umbrella remains central to the narrative of Ethiopia's global identity. Interestingly, the continued importance of the Holy Umbrella in the diaspora has also had an impact on how Ethiopians view their own history. For those living in Ethiopia, the umbrella had long been a symbol of the emperor's divine right to rule. But as Ethiopia evolved politically, particularly after the fall of the monarchy, the umbrella became a more complex symbol. It no longer just represented the monarchy's authority. It represented something much deeper: Ethiopia's spiritual and cultural legacy. It was as if, in the diaspora, the umbrella was reclaimed not just as a symbol of the past, but as a living emblem of Ethiopian pride that transcended politics. Over the decades, the symbolism of the Holy Umbrella continued to weave its way into modern Ethiopian life. For many Ethiopians today, the umbrella remains a revered icon, one that represents the nation's unbroken connection to its past, its resistance to colonial domination, and its deep spiritual roots in the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. Whether seen on the streets of Addis Ababa or carried in a procession by Ethiopians abroad, the umbrella's power endures. In the next section, we'll explore the broader role of the Holy Umbrella in Ethiopia's religious life, particularly within the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, where it continues to serve as a sacred object of veneration. The church has long been the heart of Ethiopian identity, and the umbrella's role within its ceremonies provides a fascinating glimpse into how ancient symbols can evolve and maintain their relevance in the modern world. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has long been the heart and soul of Ethiopia's national identity, and as such, it has been instrumental in preserving and reshaping the symbolism of the Holy Umbrella. For centuries, the church was the primary institution that not only shaped Ethiopia's spiritual life, but also defined its cultural and national ethos. As we move into the modern era, the Holy Umbrella's role within the church takes on an even deeper significance. It is no longer merely a symbol of royal power, but a sacred relic deeply entwined with religious rites and ceremonies that continue to be an essential part of Ethiopian life today. In the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the Holy Umbrella is most often seen in liturgical contexts, particularly during important religious festivals and processions. It is not just an ornamental object. It is viewed as a sacred symbol of divine presence and protection. During these religious events, the umbrella is often carried over the head of high-ranking clergy or bishops as they lead the faithful in prayer and worship. The umbrella's divine symbolism is unmistakable, representing God's protection over the faithful and the church's role as the earthly representative of divine authority. Interestingly, the umbrella's role in these ceremonies connects directly to the ancient belief in divine kingship. Even though the monarchy itself has long since been abolished, the Holy Umbrella still carries the weight of that royal symbolism. The Ethiopian emperor, before the fall of the monarchy, was considered not only the secular ruler but also the spiritual leader of the nation, with divine authority granted by God. The umbrella, in this sense, represented more than just earthly power. It was an outward sign of God's grace and favor upon the ruler and the nation. Today, when the umbrella is used in church ceremonies, it invokes that same idea of divine protection, reinforcing the sacred connection between Ethiopia's Christian heritage and the belief that God watches over the land and its people. Historians still debate the extent to which the Holy Umbrella's association with the monarchy affects its use in religious contexts today. Some argue that its continued use within the church is a way of preserving Ethiopia's royal past, keeping alive the legacy of divine kingship and national unity. Others suggest that the umbrella's role in the church has taken on a more universal meaning, representing not just the Ethiopian monarchy but the Christian faith as a whole. Regardless of the interpretation, there is no denying that the umbrella remains a deeply revered object in Ethiopian religious life. It serves as a bridge between the old and the new, linking the past to the present and keeping the spirit of Ethiopia's ancient traditions alive. The Holy Umbrella's connection to Ethiopia's Christian faith also highlights the ongoing relationship between religion and national identity. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church is one of the oldest Christian institutions in the world, tracing its roots back to the 4th century, when Christianity was first introduced to the kingdom by Saint Frumentius. Since that time, the church has been a central force in shaping not only the religious life of Ethiopians, but also their sense of national identity. The Holy Umbrella, therefore, is not just a symbol of Ethiopia's political history. It is also a symbol of its spiritual heritage, an embodiment of the nation's deep connection to its Christian roots. Even today, the umbrella is an important fixture in major religious festivals like Timkat, Epiphany, and Meskel, the finding of the true cross, two of the most significant holidays in the Ethiopian Orthodox calendar. During Timkat, a procession is held where priests and bishops carry sacred relics, including the tablet, the replica of the Ark of the Covenant. The Holy Umbrella is often part of these processions, serving as a symbol of the divine protection bestowed upon the religious leaders and the entire congregation. In these moments, the umbrella is not only a physical object, but a manifestation of God's presence and grace, a reminder that Ethiopia is, in the eyes of the faithful, a nation under divine guardianship. Historians continue to argue over the umbrella's role in the modern religious landscape. Is it still primarily a symbol of royal power, even in the absence of the monarchy? Or has its significance shifted entirely to become a symbol of divine favor and protection for the people of Ethiopia as a whole? Some scholars argue that the umbrella's continued use in religious ceremonies, despite the end of the monarchy, speaks to the enduring power of symbols in Ethiopian culture. Others suggest that the umbrella's role has evolved into something more egalitarian, representing the unity of the Ethiopian people and their shared Christian faith, rather than any individual ruler. Regardless of the interpretation, the holy umbrella continues to hold a central place in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church's rituals. Its presence in these religious events, its continued use in processions, and its deep connection to Ethiopia's Christian identity all point to its enduring power as a symbol of spiritual protection and divine favor. The umbrella is a reminder that, despite the many changes Ethiopia has gone through over the centuries, whether the rise and fall of empires, the shifting political landscape, or the introduction of new ideologies, the nation's spiritual foundation remains steadfast. In the next section, we'll explore how the Holy Umbrella continues to influence modern Ethiopian culture, both inside Ethiopia and among the global diaspora. While its role in politics and religion may have evolved, the umbrella's significance as a cultural symbol of Ethiopia's identity and resilience remains as strong as ever. As Ethiopia continues to navigate the challenges of the modern world, the Holy Umbrella will undoubtedly continue to serve as a powerful reminder of the nation's spiritual and cultural heritage. As we look at the modern cultural significance of the Holy Umbrella, it's clear that this symbol remains a defining feature of Ethiopian identity. Even as political regimes and national borders shift, the umbrella continues to echo the deep spiritual and historical legacy of the Ethiopian people. The resilience and adaptability of this symbol are remarkable. What was once an object exclusively tied to the Ethiopian monarchy and its divine kingship has evolved into a broader cultural icon, one that resonates with both the people inside Ethiopia and the global diaspora. In Ethiopia today, the Holy Umbrella still enjoys a prominent place in cultural events, particularly those that celebrate the country's religious and historical traditions. The image of the umbrella appears regularly in the form of artwork, literature, and even public displays. For instance, during major holidays like Timkat, Epiphany, and Fasika, Ethiopian Orthodox Easter, murals or banners depicting the Holy Umbrella can often be seen in churches and public spaces. It's as if the umbrella's connection to the past is perpetuated in the very fabric of contemporary Ethiopian life. Its significance is not only preserved but made relevant to new generations. Moreover, in Ethiopian art, particularly in the traditional iconography associated with the Orthodox Church, the Holy Umbrella remains an important motif. Ethiopian artists still include representations of the umbrella in religious paintings and icons, often as a halo or a symbol of the divine light surrounding holy figures. This artistic continuity reinforces the umbrella's status as more than just an artifact. It's a living symbol that remains connected to Ethiopia's spiritual heart. The umbrella's placement above saints or important religious figures in these artworks speaks to its enduring association with divine protection and power. Historians continue to debate the role of art in preserving the legacy of symbols like the Holy Umbrella. Some argue that through art, these symbols are kept alive for generations, allowing them to evolve while maintaining a connection to their original meaning. Others contend that the umbrella's prevalence in religious and cultural art may reflect a broader effort to reclaim and preserve Ethiopia's ancient identity in the face of modernizing forces. No matter how it's interpreted, one thing is certain: the Holy Umbrella is deeply embedded in Ethiopia's cultural consciousness. The cultural importance of the umbrella is not limited to Ethiopia alone. Ethiopian diaspora communities around the world, from Washington, D.C. to Toronto, London, and Sydney, continue to hold the Holy Umbrella in high regard. For Ethiopians living abroad, The umbrella has become a symbol of not just national pride, but collective memory. The image of the holy umbrella, often used during community events, provides a link to their homeland, offering a tangible connection to a rich cultural and spiritual heritage that many in the diaspora may feel distant from during major religious events like the Ethiopian New Year or Meskel. The holy umbrella often makes an appearance in celebrations, even in places far from Ethiopia. In these instances, the umbrella is used as a symbol of unity, a way for Ethiopians in the diaspora to honor their shared history and identity, while also expressing pride in their resilience as a people. When the umbrella is paraded through the streets of cities like Washington, D.C. or Toronto, it becomes more than just a relic. It transforms into a powerful expression of Ethiopian unity and continuity. Interestingly, as Ethiopia's influence continues to grow on the world stage, the holy umbrella has even been embraced by non-Ethiopian groups. Many African Americans, particularly those with a sense of Pan-African solidarity, have adopted the symbol as part of their broader efforts to reclaim African heritage and history. Ethiopia's unique position as the only African nation to never be colonized has made it a symbol of pride for many across the African diaspora. The holy umbrella, in this context, is more than just a religious or national symbol. It becomes an emblem of African resistance, dignity, and self-determination. Historians still debate how these diaspora symbols, including the holy umbrella, impact both Ethiopian and global perceptions of Ethiopia. Some scholars argue that these symbols have helped foster a new, transnational sense of Ethiopian identity, one that transcends geographical boundaries. Others suggest that the growing importance of such symbols in the diaspora is a sign of nostalgia, a yearning for a homeland that, for many, remains a distant memory. Regardless of interpretation, the umbrella's enduring presence in both Ethiopian and African diasporas speaks to its lasting relevance in Ethiopia itself. The umbrella remains an important cultural icon, especially as the country continues to embrace its rich heritage while also navigating the challenges of the 21st century. For instance, in modern political discourse, the holy umbrella has at times been used to symbolize Ethiopia's unique national character. Some political figures, especially those with a strong connection to Ethiopia's religious traditions, invoke the umbrella as a sign of Ethiopia's exceptional status among African nations, one that is grounded in a long history of both spiritual and political independence. In the arts too, the holy umbrella continues to inspire. Contemporary Ethiopian filmmakers, poets, and writers often draw on the umbrella as a symbol of Ethiopia's struggle for freedom and self-determination. In these works, the umbrella may be used to represent Ethiopia's triumph over colonialism, or its steadfastness in the face of internal political turmoil. Artists often juxtapose images of the umbrella with scenes of Ethiopia's past, invoking its historical significance to highlight themes of resistance, national pride, and faith. While the holy umbrella is no longer the physical object of divine protection carried by the emperor, its symbolic power has not diminished. It continues to serve as a reminder of Ethiopia's remarkable history and the unbroken spirit of its people. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at how the holy umbrella plays a role in Ethiopia's future. With the global stage ever-changing and Ethiopia continuing to assert itself in the modern world, what does the future hold for this ancient and beloved symbol? As we peer into the future of Ethiopia's holy umbrella, we begin to realize just how deeply this symbol has permeated the nation's cultural and spiritual fabric. The umbrella's role in Ethiopian society has not only endured through centuries of political and religious change, but it has evolved, taking on new meanings that continue to resonate with modern generations. From its ancient ties to divine kingship to its contemporary role as a symbol of national pride, the Holy Umbrella is likely to remain a potent cultural artifact for years to come. But what role will it play as Ethiopia moves forward into an increasingly globalized and interconnected world? Ethiopia, as a country, has undergone tremendous transformations since the days of its monarchy. The end of the imperial era and the subsequent rise of socialist and federal governments have brought their own challenges. But despite these shifts in political leadership, the Holy Umbrella has consistently remained a powerful symbol, a tangible link between the present and the past. Its presence in both religious ceremonies and public events speaks to the enduring belief in Ethiopia's unique spiritual and cultural identity. In many ways, the umbrella represents Ethiopia's ability to adapt and remain resilient in the face of global pressures while holding steadfast to its heritage. In the modern context, the Holy Umbrella has transcended its traditional royal associations and has been embraced as a national symbol by many Ethiopians, both within the country and in the diaspora. For Ethiopians living abroad, the umbrella serves as a reminder of their shared history and a way to reconnect with their roots. The Holy Umbrella appears in cultural events like festivals, music videos, and social media, often reimagined in contemporary forms that reflect the dynamic nature of Ethiopian culture. It has even found its way into fashion and design, with clothing lines and accessories incorporating the umbrella motif as a sign of cultural pride and continuity. This reimagining of the Holy Umbrella in modern, everyday life speaks to its resilience as a symbol. The umbrella is not simply an ancient relic or an object of reverence in the Orthodox Church. It is a living symbol, one that adapts to contemporary contexts while remaining anchored in Ethiopia's rich spiritual and historical past. As Ethiopia continues to engage with the wider world, this adaptability will likely help ensure that the umbrella remains a relevant and influential symbol for generations to come. Historians still debate whether symbols like the Holy Umbrella will retain their significance as Ethiopia modernizes. Some believe that as Ethiopia becomes more urbanized and technologically advanced, traditional symbols may lose their hold on the national consciousness. Others argue that the strength of symbols like the Holy Umbrella is precisely what allows them to endure and remain powerful in an ever-changing world. After all, the Holy Umbrella is not just a symbol of monarchy or a religious authority. It's a symbol of resilience, a reminder of Ethiopia's unbroken spirit in the face of colonization, revolution, and war. Looking forward, it's also likely that the Holy Umbrella will become an even more prominent symbol in the global diaspora, especially as younger generations of Ethiopians, born and raised in foreign lands, begin to reshape their relationship with Ethiopia. These younger Ethiopians, who may not have lived through the monarchy or the revolutions that followed, may be drawn to the Holy Umbrella as a symbol of pride and continuity. For them, the umbrella may represent more than just religious or political history. It may serve as a symbol of their connection to a larger Ethiopian identity that stretches across the globe. At the same time, as Ethiopia's political landscape continues to evolve, the umbrella's symbolism may also shift in response to contemporary issues. For instance, Ethiopia has long grappled with the challenge of ethnic federalism and political division. The Holy Umbrella, with its roots in Ethiopia's imperial past, may be reinterpreted to reflect the country's modern struggles for unity and peace. In this sense, the umbrella may come to represent not just divine protection or royal authority, but the collective will of the Ethiopian people to remain united, despite the forces of division that have at times threatened the nation's cohesion. In the realm of international relations, Ethiopia's status as a unique independent African nation, one that never fell under colonial rule, will continue to bolster the symbolism of the Holy Umbrella. The umbrella's association with divine, kingship, and national resilience may continue to serve as a potent symbol of Ethiopia's leadership in the African Union and its role as a diplomatic force in Africa and beyond. As Ethiopia continues to assert itself on the world stage, it's possible that the umbrella could evolve into a global symbol of African independence and sovereignty. For all its modern adaptations, however, the Holy Umbrella's original meaning, divine protection it symbolized for the emperor, will likely remain central to its cultural significance. In the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the umbrella will continue to be revered as a symbol of God's protection over Ethiopia, and it will likely remain a fixture in religious processions and ceremonies for the foreseeable future. It's in this religious context that the umbrella's ancient significance as a link between the divine and the earthly realms will likely remain most potent, continuing to inspire faith and devotion in Ethiopia's Christian communities. As Ethiopia navigates the challenges of the 21st century, the Holy Umbrella will undoubtedly remain a powerful symbol, a tangible connection to the country's past, its resilience, and its unbroken cultural and spiritual identity. Whether displayed in religious ceremonies, used as a symbol of national pride in the diaspora, or embraced in the everyday lives of Ethiopians, the umbrella will continue to serve as a reminder that Ethiopia's strength lies not just in its political systems, but in its deep-rooted spiritual and cultural heritage. In the final section, we'll take a moment to reflect on the broader lesson of the Holy Umbrella's enduring legacy. What does this symbol teach us about the resilience of culture and identity in the face of change? How can we apply the story of the Holy Umbrella to our own lives, finding strength in the symbols and traditions that connect us to our own histories? As we wrap up this journey through the past and into the future, we'll close with a reflection on how the enduring symbols of our own cultures can continue to guide us through the complexities of modern life. As we near the final stretch of our exploration into the fascinating history of Ethiopia's Holy Umbrella, it's impossible not to consider the broader implications of its enduring legacy. This sacred object has withstood centuries of political change, foreign invasions, and internal strife, and yet it remains a powerful symbol of Ethiopia's unique identity, one that bridges the gap between the ancient past and the modern day. As we close this journey, the story of the Holy Umbrella offers us a rich lesson in the resilience of cultural and religious symbols, how they can transcend their original context and continue to carry meaning even as the world around them shifts and changes. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Holy Umbrella's story is its ability to adapt. Once an exclusive symbol of the Ethiopian emperor's divine authority, it has morphed into something far more universal, a symbol of Ethiopia's spirit, its resistance to foreign domination, and its deep religious roots. Today, the Holy Umbrella is not just a relic of the past. It is a living symbol, deeply embedded in the daily life of Ethiopians at home and abroad. Its role in religious ceremonies, cultural events, and even diaspora gatherings speaks to the ongoing power of this icon in shaping Ethiopian identity in the modern world. Historians and scholars may debate the exact meaning of the umbrella in the present day, whether it's a marker of royal legacy or a more democratic symbol of spiritual protection and collective unity. What's clear, however, is that the umbrella continues to be a powerful reminder of Ethiopia's resilience. For Ethiopians, both within the country and in the global diaspora, the Holy Umbrella is more than just a physical object. It represents the enduring connection to a shared history, a history that stretches back millennia and continues to resonate. In the present, the umbrella reminds them that despite the trials of the past and the uncertainty of the future, There is something unbreakable about the cultural and spiritual identity that unites them. In Ethiopia, the holy umbrella continues to shine as a beacon of divine protection during religious celebrations. It is displayed with pride during major holidays such as Timkat and Meskel, where it evokes the sense that, despite all the hardships, God's presence is always with Ethiopia. Whether it's in the form of intricate artwork or during a church procession, the umbrella's sacred aura still holds power. Its historical roots in the monarchy may have faded over time, but its divine connection remains strong, perhaps even stronger now, in a modern Ethiopia, where religion continues to play a central role in shaping the lives of millions. Beyond the religious sphere, the umbrella is also a symbol of resilience for the Ethiopian diaspora. Whether displayed in cultural events or worn as a symbol of pride, the holy umbrella serves as a reminder that the people of Ethiopia, no matter where they are in the world, remain deeply connected to their homeland and its rich traditions. The umbrella is a physical object, yes, but it is also a symbol of enduring identity. For Ethiopians living abroad, it is a symbol of the unbreakable bond to a place that continues to shape their lives. Even if they've never set foot there, it's a way of saying, no matter where we are, we carry Ethiopia with us. The holy umbrella, in many ways, becomes a cultural bridge. It connects the ancient with the modern, the religious with the political, and the individual with the collective. As Ethiopia navigates the complexities of the 21st century, the umbrella will continue to evolve. It will be reinterpreted by each new generation, taking on new meanings as Ethiopia's role in the world changes. Yet, through all these transformations, the umbrella will remain a steadfast symbol of Ethiopia's enduring spirit, a spirit that has survived through wars, invasions, revolutions, and exiles. It's also worth reflecting on how the story of the holy umbrella mirrors our own relationships with the symbols, rituals, and traditions that shape our identities. Just like Ethiopia's holy umbrella, many of us carry symbols that link us to our past, whether it's a family heirloom, a cultural tradition, or a spiritual practice. These symbols are not static. They evolve as we evolve. Yet they remain deeply rooted in our history, offering us a sense of continuity and meaning as we navigate the changes in our lives. As the global landscape shifts and we face new challenges, political, environmental, social, the importance of such symbols will likely continue to grow. In times of uncertainty, we often turn to the things that have sustained us, the symbols and practices that ground us in our identities. The holy umbrella for Ethiopians is a perfect example of how culture, faith, and history can intertwine to offer not just a sense of belonging, but a sense of hope. It serves as a reminder that no matter how much the world changes, there is something uncheckable about the human spirit, something that transcends time and place. For Ethiopia, the holy umbrella will likely continue to play an important role in both its religious life and its national identity. As Ethiopia faces new challenges in the modern world, challenges that range from internal political divisions to economic development, the holy umbrella will remain a symbol of protection, unity, and divine favor. It will continue to be a powerful reminder of the country's unbroken connection to its past and its spiritual heritage. In the final analysis, the story of the holy umbrella is not just the story of a single object. It is the story of a nation's resilience, its ability to adapt and thrive, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. It is a story of survival, of resistance, and of an unbreakable connection to the divine and to each other. As we conclude our journey through this history, it's clear that the holy umbrella's legacy is far from over, just as it has endured. Throughout Ethiopia's turbulent past, it will likely continue to endure, a shining symbol of the nation's strength and spirit, for generations to come. As we enter the final moments of our journey through the history and symbolism of Ethiopia's Holy Umbrella, it's time to reflect on what we've learned and how the story of this sacred object connects not only to Ethiopia, but to universal themes of resilience, identity, and the enduring power of symbols. The Holy Umbrella, as we've seen, has survived political upheaval, religious transformation, and centuries of shifting cultural dynamics. Its journey from the royal courts of the Ethiopian monarchy to its current status as a symbol of national and religious pride is a testament to the enduring nature of culture and identity in Ethiopia, where religion, history, and national identity are so tightly interwoven. The Holy Umbrella serves as more than just a religious relic. It is a physical representation of the continuity of a people and a nation that has never been colonized, whose culture and faith have been fiercely guarded across centuries. Whether used in the sacred spaces of churches or displayed proudly during cultural events, the umbrella embodies the Ethiopian commitment to preserving its rich traditions while adapting to the changing needs and realities of the modern world.